is actually the MLB trade deadline, and so we thought we'd take a hockey spin on that and look at some of the guys who are already traded this offseason, some huge names and big moves on this list, but also turn the conversation to who might also yet be traded this summer.
Oh.
I know. That's what our job is, right? To stir things up and see if anything sticks. But or at least we think it's our job this time.
But there's, you know, with the players we're about to discuss, there's
legitimate conversation to be had about
discussions are being had in other places apart from this desk right here.
Exactly. So, you know, now that August is just 2 days away, things still could pick up. We've had some notable trades happen in the middle of the summer like this before. Matthew Tkachuk happened in the middle of the summer. Last summer, Erik Karlsson happened around this time. So let's just put this out there and see what you think about some of the guys who have been mentioned in trade rumors. And we got to go north of the border for this one to start because everyone's always asking about Mitch Marner. He's such a superstar. At different points of his career in Toronto, he's been called even the MVP at times. You know, Austin Matthews has something to say about that, but we know he's a star. The question is, does Toronto want to keep him, I don't know, much longer? What do you think?
Let's start with the most salacious. I like where you're going.
It's so juicy.
It is. It really is. But it's also probably among the most interesting for me. Think about it. Marner has proven his worth as a Maple Leafs player. He has given the organization consistent market contribution through his entire tenure there, without question. Having said that, Marner is also a guy that's up in the near term. He'll be an unrestricted free agent unless they're able to work out an extension for Marner. And here's the thing. I go back 2 years in time. If the Leafs learned anything about, and it's all about performing in the postseason, it's all about bringing the Stanley Cup back to Toronto, this group needs a little more sandpaper. They need more grit where their top six is concerned. You look at that list of candidates in their top six, and I go back to the Florida series. The trouble that club had with Tkachuk and Bennett, both players who, you know, factor in the top six for the Florida Panthers. I know the Leafs covet that kind of gritty presence as part of your top six, who can also generate top-end offensive numbers. So it may be, and please Leaf fans, don't hear me saying that Marner is the reason that the Leafs have been unable to recapture the Stanley Cup, but he is that one piece that may bring the added necessity, as management perceives it, the added necessity back to the mix to get them over the hump, so to speak.
Because if they do trade him, they're going to get a haul. I mean, this guy is a legit star.
It'll be a haul. I got to believe there'll be a solid, established impact player, NHL player as part of the mix, and perhaps, you know, maybe a mix of assets, picks and prospects to accompany a Marner, perhaps. But it should be a rich return, without question.
Well, just west of there and also up in Canada, another juicy conversation surrounds Leon Draisaitl, who will be a UFA a year from now. And so the talk has already begun on whether or not they'll be able to pay him what he really deserves. And if not, do they trade him? Do you think that we will see Draisaitl depart Edmonton?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. And from management's perspective, I think the following is valid. You've got a window within which to win while Connor McDavid, and it's a pretty wide window, wide opening, but while Connor McDavid, you know, is in peak form, and to me, you know, whether they're playing together on the same line, whether they're 1-2 down the middle, just depending on the moment in time for this group, Leon Draisaitl brings a whole lot more to the mix, adds a robust complement to Connor McDavid, and a guy that can carry the offensive load when, in the rare moment when Connor's production dips. It would take some cap creativity, some really creative, you know, cap massaging in order to keep those two buttoned down on the same roster. But I don't see Draisaitl leaving in the near term. I really do not.
Well, that's music to Edmonton Oilers fans' ears. Certainly, they want to keep him up there in Edmonton. I almost feel bad bringing up the next guy because we talk about this so often. But Trevor Zegras continues to have his name out there in trade talks I don't know, what, 3 years now going
Yeah.
strong. Do you think that this might be the summer or the upcoming season that he gets dealt out of Anaheim?
I suspect there's a really solid possibility there, and I say that for this reason. Pat Verbeek comes over as general manager going 2 years back now, Anaheim, leaving the Detroit organization, coming to Anaheim, and he inherits a Trevor Zegras. And don't get me wrong, I'm a Zegras fan. I think he's got brilliant offensive upside. I think there's, a good bit of maturity to evolve where his game is concerned, as well on the defensive side of the puck. But again, I don't know that, given a blank canvas, Pat Verbeek reaches out, grabs a Zegras and makes him part of the roster. And again, a guy that could bring a really robust return by way of a trade. There's a good possibility that Zegras moves on. There's got to be there's got to be some fire where all that smoke has been emanating.
There's also some smoke around this area, the New York area, about their captain, Jacob Trouba.
Yeah.
And this at first kind of shocked me because I was like, wait, what? He's the captain. Why would we be talking about him being traded? But again, where there's smoke, sometimes there's fire. So what do you think? Do you take much stock in all these rumors surrounding Trouba?
Well, here's the thing. If you're Chris Drury, and really any club for that matter, you probably have some untouchables. You probably have some guys who are in play. I would put Jacob Trouba in the latter category. I'm a big fan of Trouba, but it's not typical you see a guy with, the offensive upside that he has, which is, not to be, not to be dismissed, but not top end, top two defender type numbers necessarily in the offensive category. He plays a hardened brand of hockey. He's a good leader. I don't think he had a terrific postseason last year, and I think for a lot of Rangers fans, at that number, they expect more offensive upside, and they relish a cup would have come back by perhaps this moment in time. So I don't know that I see Jacob Trouba moving. To me, I think he's an important part of the fabric of this club, the identity of this club. I understand where the rumors come from, but, all things being equal, I think Drury continues to employ Trouba as an asset here as part of the Rangers dynamic.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you only because they were so close, right? I mean, they were in the Eastern Conference Final just this year.
Don't know that he wants to mess with it
too much.
Significantly.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's just some juicy conversation
Food for thought.
here.